Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as we all know, Summer of Suffering is well on its way. We have had first two fights, and on 11th of September, on Wednesday, we're gonna have the third fight go live. Now, Kabam did tell us that the next two bosses are going to be Photon and Chode. Now, we did not know the order of them or the nodes. However, now we do. Photon is coming up for week 3. Unfortunately, I will not be streaming Summer of Suffering straight away because it's the same day, same time. Act 9.1 is coming out, and I will be tackling that first. However, we do have a leak of the nodes, so we can kind of prepare a little bit of which champions are probably going to be good for the fight and how the fight is going to look like. And let's, jump right into it. Another disclaimer, though, is that this is a leak. It's not officially confirmed information by Kabam. And also, I'm not exactly sure of the source of the leak because this time around it wasn't MCOC Player 920. And that is especially one of the objectives that I might be a little bit unclear of with the full extent of the actual requirement there. But we're going to get to it in a bit. So, first things first, Photon. Photon is going to be without the signature ability, which will effectively mean that there is a reduction in the block damage that you take, and you're gonna ramp up Photon slower. Photon is significantly easier as a defender when unawakened. Let's get into the buffs. So, the attacker's combat rate is reduced to 0, but the attacker generates 15% of a bar of power per second. Whenever the attacker gains 3 bars of power, all of the attacker's power is removed and the attacker loses 50% of their max health. So effectively, you never, ever want to get 3 bars power. And this node will likely make for a very interesting fight where effectively you probably will not want to smack Photon too much and largely rely on your special attacks, but you will have to strike a delicate balance because we do have the next node. After the attacker uses special attack, a 15-second timer is started. If the attacker activates another special while this timer is active, they are inflicted with passive direct damage, dealing 50% of their current health as direct damage over 4 seconds. So, if you're going to be spamming specials, you're going to be losing health and fast. However, since it's always 50% of your current health, might just mean that we end up spamming specials and playing with minimal health pool here. Will be interesting to see how this works out. Then, whenever the attacker's power reaches 0, they take 240% of the defender's attacker's direct damage. This would be in correlation with this node as well, where when you get 3 bars of power, you're kind of screwed. Now, this last one is quite nasty as well. Whenever the defender is struck, there is a 20% chance for the attacker to be inflicted with the 10% disorient debuff for 8 seconds. However, the next line is actually more crucial. Whenever the defender blocks a light attack, the attacker is inflicted with a 50% petrify debuff for 8 seconds. So you never really want to hit the opponent's block with your light. That means you cannot really switch Photon because if you get 150% Petrify on top of Photon's own Petrify, you're going to be losing all the power that you are gaining from this first node. And you're going to go down to 0 and take a burst of damage. So it's going to be a very kind of a delicate balance type of fight where you need to launch your special attacks, but not too often, and or you're going to be taking damage, or when you don't manage to activate your special attacks quickly enough, you get 3 bars of power and you die. Or when you hit the opponent's block, you die basically with your lights. So you're going to have to be very, very precise and specific in the fight, which, sounds fair enough if they are cooperating. Now, this objective is the one that I have a bit of struggle figuring out. So complete the task, Summer of Suffering, Part 3, with the champion of abilities with the tag size M. clearly it's meant to be hero or villain or something size M. With the champion of abilities, I do not know how to translate that exactly. It could be defensive utility, maybe. It could be something else in size M. So if we're taking a look at that here, we have the M. And obviously size M is a very large pool, much larger than Kabam normally allows. I think it could be defensive utility, in which case it would be these champions. But again, there's no way for me to be super sure. So I'm not going to discuss this objective in details. I will, however, take a look at with the champion with the tag 2022. So 2022 champions, something else that we have to use. Now the 2022 champions, I think the best option here could potentially be Black Cat, if you're quite good with using Black Cat, because then you can shut off Photon's defensive abilities, inflict burst of damage, and Black Cat in general is fairly decent counter to Photon. Additional option obviously is Hulkling and Mantis, so this might just be the easiest objective here, because again, Hulkling is generally considered fairly solid counter to Photon. Then we have Mantis, one of the best counters to Photon, as well as Black Cat, quite good as well. And even Misty Knight could potentially be quite decent because the Equity Master is not involved this time around. It's just that you have to use those special attacks as well. But overall, this seems to be the easier one of the objectives. And I'm sure that we all have some of these champions ranked up as well. And the final one is Heroes of the Spider-Verse. So Spider-Verse Hero is what we're looking at. And here, out of all of these, it is going to be quite interesting to see which and who works best. Obviously, striking the block is not going to be an option, so probably Spider-Man 2099 is not going to be a great calling here. We do have Starkhand, Spider-Man, Stealth Suit Spider-Man, Spider-Ham, Silk, but we can't really stun her. Spider-Gwen, potentially, maybe, if we enervate her and keep enervating her, but again, you can't really spam your specials, or if you do spam your specials, you're going to be taking damage all the time. Miles could potentially be quite good, but Photon bypasses miss, obviously. So this might be a bit trickier calling here. I'm sure that, we're going to figure that fight out exactly. Ideally, we're going to be looking at, I think, large amount of special damage, but Starkhand, Spider-Man, Stealth Suit Spidey, probably going to be the best ones. Except for Stealth Suit Spidey, the problem is going to be you cannot use your level 3 to reset your cartridges. So that kind of leads me to think it's probably going to be the Starkhand Spider-Man that is likely the best option here. But, again, this is purely speculation as of right now. And unfortunately, again, not entirely sure which size M champion is going to be here. But, in short, that is the Photon fight. There are a couple more things to address, obviously, in regards of Summer of Suffering. Number one is the fact that we are still set to be able to dupe our Deathless Vision. And it is not listed here, but obviously either Toad or Photon is going to have that Deathless Vision objective. And, well, I hope it's Toad, not this fight. Because this fight with Deathless Vision could be an absolute nightmare. With Toad, it would kind of make more sense, because then Deathless Vision has, even though they are superior class, kind of class-based advantages, or at least ability-wise, he has the immunities to face Toad, so on and so forth. So hopefully that's, a fairly compatible fight. And yeah, the last bit is quite obvious. If on Wednesday we are getting Photon, then Toad is going to be the last individual fight before the Summer of Suffering Gauntlet comes in 1 month's time, with 2 more fights that we do not have any idea about. There are a few other interesting reveals, and one of them is animations and abilities of 9.1 boss, which is going to be the next video that I'm working on. But I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the good buttons, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about